All right, we'll call this meeting to order. And China, are you doing roll call?
I'm doing roll call.
Wonderful.
Okay, Walker.
Here.
Selden. Here. Bentley.
Here.
Byron.
Here. Wonderful. You have the minutes in the packet in front of you from the January 8th meeting. Any comments or edits, revisions? No. Okay, seeing none, they are approved as submitted. Thank you. Member forum, do we have any speakers today?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful.
Members are welcome to speak during the designated member forum at Rossmore Walnut Creek RWC board and committee meetings, either in person or via Zoom. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes and must clearly state their full name and Rossmore address before beginning. If speaking on behalf of another member, a signed consent form is required. To speak, members must submit a member form slip prior to the start of the forum. Instructions and slips are available at the meeting entrance of the RWC board office and online. Please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded by attending and participating, including during the open forum. Attendees agree to and release RWC from all liability for their voice and or likeness being recorded and broadcast for any lawful purposes without compensation. So I'd like to call Mr. Bob Seymour. If you'll please take a stand at the end of the table, speak loud so that we can hear you in the recording and state your name and your address.
Thank you very much. My name is Bob Seymour. My wife and I reside at 4725 Tarragoneta Drive. I am a member of the Pickleball Board of Directors and an active pickleball player. Speaking for the entire club, I want to thank you, the staff, the RWC Board of Directors, for proceeding with the construction of the new pickleball courts. We are very excited about the project and the enhancement of pickleball as a Rossmore amenity. Today, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you regarding the future of the Creekside pickleball courts, following the completion of our new courts. At an appropriate future date, the Pickleball Club respectfully requests the opportunity to provide input into the study concerning the future of the Creekside courts. At that time, we would like to share several reasons why the continued yet limited use of the courts would be advantageous to the Rossmore community. The club currently has more than 600 members, and this number is expected to grow with the addition of new courts and the continued influx of residents moving to Rossmore who are interested in playing pickleball. Having the Rossmore Pickleball Club as a participant in this study for the future use of the courts could provide some helpful insights that otherwise might not be considered. We look forward to those discussions in the future. And thank you very much for hearing me.
All right, thank you, Bob. Do we have any other speakers?
We do not.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Next is the chair's report. And I just want to say there are a number of items on the agenda today that are very important, especially transportation. And an item that appeared on the board's list of capital projects for the first reading at the last board meeting was $80,000 for a transit study. That is on our agenda today for action later in the agenda, so we'll address that. Anne has prepared a comprehensive project list to consolidate all the changes and where we are exactly, including that $80,000 item. At this point in time, maybe Anne can share that with us.
Yeah, so what I put up on the screen is a document that has been shown here and at finance and of course at the board meetings. It's not attached to the packet. We wanted to, it was like a late add-on. It'll be attached after the meeting. But this lists all of the pickleball projects. I'm so sorry, I got pickleball on the mind. All of the capital projects.
I actually like what Bob said. I like pickleball.
Crickle side, actually. I wrote that down, crickle side.
Anne, can you make that a little bigger?
Yeah, I'm trying to. So I can do it here, but it's not doing it there, which is very interesting.
It started to get bigger.
Did it?
There's a delay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
There we go.
There we go.
Look at that.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Because we actually don't need to see future years, right? So we
No,
can
I
focus on
think
the projects.
There you go.
All right. One click back. Well, we'll get to it. Okay, so what you're looking at, this was showing the year end, so it'll have projects that are complete on it. And then if you see in the 2026 column, which is the second column, this is everything that's going forward. So the request is that we made sure, and this kind of came from the board discussion, that was kicked back. We wanted to make sure that this model reflected, if you look at the bottom, you'll see the transportation study is on here at 80,000. And then the line below, so this is different than what was presented at the board meeting, where we had taken out 200,000 that originally we discussed to add in there for potential transportation vehicles in a software system under the misassumption. You know what happens when you assume that we would want to do a study first, but Dwight appropriately corrected that should be discussed here, so both are in there.
Well, the board actually approved that be added
Yeah.
back, so, yeah. So the only thing really of all those lists that hasn't been run through this committee nor approved by the board is the transit
study,
study.
yeah.
For 80,000, okay. All right, well, thank you for providing that comprehensive list, and no
And
change.
it makes no change to the bottom line. We still maintain you see it? Okay, yeah. You can still see the cash balance at the bottom. And we knew in 2026 it was a little bit below the 2, but then in future years we're recovered. Yeah.
Okay. All right, any questions about that? So as I said, we'll be addressing that transit study item later in the agenda. Thank you, Ann. So next is capital project update.
All right.
You have
Another
a
one.
few things going on, Ann.
I'll tell you, it's really exciting. It's a very exciting time. There are a lot of things going on. And so what I wanted to do today is to, pretty much this will be the last time you see this list, because it's a closeout of where we were with all of the 2025 projects. So you can see there are a lot of, the comment section, which is on the right, you can see there are a lot of things that are complete. One of the things I wanted to draw your attention to, when we create this priority list, and I've had conversations with different residents not understanding that we're not approving funding, we're creating a priority list. But this is a really good example of, if you looked in 2025 of the approved priorities, it was like 7.4 million. At the end of the year, we're spending about 2.2 million of it. So that's that can be a typical flow. This year's probably gonna be more because we have a large capital project. But anyways, we're always tracking to see where we are in the bottom line as we bring things forward. But I just wanted people to see the pattern of that. Because capital projects, they don't start and end within a year. They straddle, they start at different times. So it's kind of this dynamic budget flow that we're always tracking. So hopefully that's a little bit of a helpful explanation and just something to look at year to year. What I want to do is talk about the two carryovers, the two big carryover projects, and give you updates on those. And so the first on that list would be under the major capital, the pickleball project. And so there have been updates since that's put together. And I'm going to tell you, I think future updates are going to be more real time than me putting things in there. I might put things that are complete. And the reason for that, construction projects they're really dynamic, and right now they're heavily reliant on weather. And so when that was written, it was a little bit different about things projected in the future, and things change. So I'll kind of go through where we are, and so at least you'll be in the minutes, an accurate recording of where we are to date. So the Gulf Main Line completion. So we have one more connection to make by Rainbird. And it's one of those communication pieces before we're complete with that project. So it's scheduled for Tuesday, weather permitting. We are expecting, another storm to come through. So that will be in the minutes. That may change. I'm not being cagey. It's the nature of construction. Okay. There was another note in there with the week of February 9th, the concrete work begins. Just so you know, that date, I provided that in error. It should have been the 19th. However, we think that's going to get pushed back as well. because of, it looks like a full week of rain. So we'll give updates on that. And then we were scheduled to have building materials arrive today, and that was pushed back to next week. We don't believe the rain is gonna change the delivery of that, because it's just trucks putting them in the area cordoned off. So that's kind of the activity that's happening. A real important thing I do want to talk about in this meeting. So I received calls, and if anybody is concerned or curious about what's happening because they're feeling an impact, I encourage them to call or email me. So what's been happening this week is that we're doing the groundwork in preparation of the building pad. And I got calls from people feeling vibrations and wanting to know if that was normal. And so the piece of equipment that's out there actually has a vibration plate. So it is vibrating the earth. And what it's doing is, as we are laying down the base rock, and we need 12 inches of it, it has to compact it. So we have things tested and we need to pass a special inspection for compaction. So that'll happen through the end of this week. As of the end of yesterday, we had 10 inches there, and we need to have 12 inches of compaction. And we believe we'll be able to do that by the end of tomorrow. So hopefully that discomfort that people are experiencing will be done the end of this week. Again, we have to do this immediate inspection, so there could be a carryover.
Like they're feeling it just walking by or something?
In their manners,
Oh,
like across the
really?
street and up the hill a little bit, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, the
We feel
vibration
earthquakes
carries.
from San Ramon.
Yeah.
But what was nice is people called thinking something's wrong, and it's like, oh, you know what, that's actually kind of a natural occurrence. It's hard for us to know how far it's gonna travel. So the first person that called was really lovely in talking to the people in her entry. And then I had a few people call just wanting more information about the project, which was great. So we really encourage that.
And is
Again-
there gonna be any updates on things like that in Rossmore News? So that,
So we're trying to do things as we know, but this is part of it, like it's hard to know until you're kind of in the middle of it, and then you have the deadline with Rossmore News, so by the time we can put it in Rossmore News, it's old information. So for instance, we put in Rossmore News, hey, delivery's gonna happen today. After the deadline, we found out we have to defer it, you can't make the correction because things are at the printer. So that's one of the things with construction, that those people that are very, very interested and want to know the most accurate information, I give you everything up to date here,
right?
and then Jeff will correct things at the board meeting, like I'll give him talk points if things are like largely different than what happened here. But those are kind of the most timely ways that we can get that information out.
Could we be using Rossmore main page? So you have the breaking news in
You
there
mean on the website?
on the side.
But I think part of it is what is breaking news. We wouldn't have known that several people were feeling this until I got calls. So it's one of those things where, look, like construction is highly destructive. I think what we're happening is a few people are hearing things or experiencing things because of the immediacy. It's the best thing to do is to make a call to the office and ask what's happening. And if we see something that it's like, oh, it's disrupting a majority of the valley or something like that, or disrupting or interfering with like the use of the event center or the road. I mean, we'd want to know that and have to do an alert, but it's a lot to manage and it shifts. I mean, we check in every day to see what's happening.
So what does the timeline look like at this point?
We're still projecting completion in June. You know, until we get through the rain, we don't want to adjust it, but we're still within some of the rain days.
Okay.
Oh, Golden Pear, okay. So the restaurant, the Golden Pear, which is the food and beverage project that's here. So if people have been by Creekside, at least in the program rooms throughout the clubhouse, you see a new wood floor. It's the same floor that's in the restaurant.
Very nice, by the way.
It's really nice, and while I have everybody's attention, I want to say, so we've had calls, you know, people concerned about acoustics and whatnot. So that flooring, and I get it, because it's a little pingy in the hallways right now, right? So when you're in the restaurant, there are a lot of things that are different. There actually is some sound attenuating like finishes on the ceiling. But the flooring itself, like if you were to drop a fork, it has the same thud that you'll find like on a carpet, and it has like a layer of foam in it. So it's not like your home laminate that you use. And also with some of the things that are being built inside, there's less open space for sound to bounce, and you have breaks because there's going to be a seating element down the center. of the new restaurant space. So I ask people to be patient with that, and we will be responsive, once we open, if that is an issue, but everything's being designed with the sound in mind.
Everybody's very anxious.
Yeah,
I peeked in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
You were the one.
they actually have mentioned, I'm a board member, that was you, yeah,
could be.
at the restaurant.
Some updates, I think, would be nice in Rossmore News if we could.
Yeah.
Because everybody's curious and anxious.
Yeah,
You can see them working.
and I think we're at the point where we'll probably be able to, I gotta work with Ann, probably we're at the point where we can do some phasing things of how it started and where we are, where people will be able to visualize it, or else it just looks like a hot, deconstructed mess. And quite honestly, the work that we've been doing over the last month has been very intensive cleaning. It has been, that has taken the better part of a month to get the condition into a place where we can actually now put equipment in it. So, yeah, so I think everybody, it's kind of nice, and they don't seem to mind that you can see the activity. They're incredibly industrious. They're there and they're working every day from start to finish. And I think it's gonna be worth the wait. It's really turning out to be a beautiful space.
Any update on the licenses, permits?
The ABC permit, we are updating the LLC agreement that holds the license. So right now they can serve, because the license is still active under the Creekside Holdings LLC. But there's still a lot of behind the scenes paperwork to update the membership of that. And then the health permit, I think, is really
It's contingent on that.
the, timing will be based on when the kitchen is all put together.
And so I've been in touch with Rodney, and hopefully by the board meeting, we can update some timelines, including.
Do you have a target opening date?
That's what, I wanna wait and talk to Rodney. A lot of it has to do with getting the things need to be constructed, the kitchen needs to be put together,
Yes.
and then you can inspect it. I mean, you kind of have to have the restaurant ready, including the kitchen, before the health inspection can be scheduled, so.
So last night, we were at the Peasant Fair, and there were at least 4 Rossmore tables and people enjoying the 20% off. And everybody had a wonderful meal, so all
Good.
And I happened to meet the new manager of the Golden Pear, Travis.
Okay.
Seems like a super guy, so I think that would be a good addition.
I think that's all I have to say about that, except as you look through these, you may want to note that we really do try to be, when we put these priorities together and give you estimates, they're just that, they're the best estimates. And I think the team is really good with their bidding and trying to make sure that we're meeting or coming under budget. There was one exception with the plastering of the pool, but if you look at, for instance, for the pavement program, total proposed was 900 and ended up being 808. So I mean, we really are trying to be diligent of the funding, as each project comes up. So if you go through that, there's a good trend of things being honorable in budget.
Appreciate that, Ted.
Just one question, and this is just a housekeeping kind of a thing. On the replacement of the skylight in the gym, I think we've been looking at this for 2 years, and we were concerned about it possibly leaking. And how much time do you think we have on that before we have to get a really hard push on getting this moving forward? Because I think it's been on here for a number of years.
Yeah, so this will be, so it's going into the 3rd year of being on there.
Yeah.
So we know, so here's the issue. When it fails, it's gonna fail, right? So we
Well,
wanna,
that's what I'm
right?
worried about.
So what we're
Big
doing, so our plan this year is to put the plan together, right? So finally we have, so Martin is now leading that. So he's now inherited it, has been ramped up. We have the architect that worked on that design to kind of look at that and help us with the design fitting, to the architecture there. So we'll kind of know what that is and potential cost. And the nice thing is we'll have the plan. And it would be a matter of understanding how long it would take to mobilize if we wanted to defer it or schedule it next year and whatnot. But we're gonna have a lot more information this year. The interesting thing where it is, because the thing is that when the seal fails, it's about leaking, it's in a part of the roof that you can tarp. You're not gonna wanna tarp it for years, but that one is a little bit easier to manage if somehow like it fails, like say now during like the rainy season. Oh, I was good.
Item 9, NetSuite implementation, shows it's carrying over to 2026.
Mhm.
I thought we would agree that it would that it is implemented. And therefore would not, or
There's-
what's yet to be done, I guess.
There's several items, including, remember, the website is tied to that project now. Vermont Systems is tied to that project. The work order module is being implemented is part of that. So there's a lot of bolt-on type projects that are associated that fall under that budgetary item. So there's a lot of activity still. NetSuite in its core program is done, but there's
I guess I'm a little concerned that we're sort of just bolting things on to that quote project as opposed to calling them out separately. And understanding the impact of those individually. Because we sort of lost track of how much I feel, at least I feel,
Okay.
I've lost track of how much we've actually spent on.
we can kind of break it down. We have that.
I think it's
So
on the
we-
sheet detail.
We can break down by the website, the additional modules and so forth.
Because those have all been approved through this committee, finance committee and the board, but you're right, we've lost track of where we are on those.
Yeah, and it just sort of keeps
Carrying forward.
carrying forward, and I'm sure, I'm worried that, in my 6th year here, I'll still see it.
It can happen. Any other questions on that report?
On this whole thing,
Sure.
are we gonna talk about any of the other projects or no, there's nothing to talk about?
If there's any questions that you have or information you'd like on others.
Well, the only question I have, just because whenever I walk on the golf course, people are talking about how, and you see the amount of water that's leaking, and where is that water going, and are we completely paying for water that's just going into the creek? Because we keep putting off that golf liner repair, but apparently, according to some worker was out there saying, it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's leaking more and more and more. I'm like, oh my God, what about this water?
So the really good news with that is we have kind of a loop system. So we're pumping downstream from the creek into the pond. And then if it leaks, it's leaking at the end, and we're just kind of recapturing it.
Okay, good.
So we're not paying for East Bay mud water that we're then losing. So especially right now, when we have the valve off for East Bay mud.
Right.
So is it important? Yes. Is it timely? Yes. Is it a urgent because we're losing resources? No.
Okay, good, thank you.
Quite an elaborate system
It is,
that
yes.
recycles from the bottom of the creek back up to the pond, so it's a good thing. Good question. Good question. Any other questions on this report?
Are we gonna talk about somewhere else, the admin relocation study? Are we talking about that today or no?
Yeah, that's under new business.
Okay, great.
Okay, under the verbal updates, we've got the food and beverage update. We'll talk about transit here in a second. The resident services system, that's Vermont Systems. Any update on that over the website at myrossmore.com?
We are going to do a presentation on My Rossmore at the board meeting end of the month. And then we'll update kind of the timeline for launch of My Rossmore, as well as the new website. So look for that at the end of the month. And then in terms of Vermont Systems, it is going through implementation right now, especially focusing on the recreation services. I don't know if you want to add to that.
And rather than the import, it's like we're building it. We're building it. So it's like the project implementation.
The
So-
back end.
So it's all the back
house.
end. There's lots of data entry. There's lots of building, like constructing the module to capture all of our facilities. So all of that work is being done, making connections, importing the different financial codes and testing stuff. So it's a heavy lift to get all that in there. So we're working all of that for each of the different program areas, but there's going to be a little bit of a staggered rollout, and part of that is to work thoughtfully with the workload that finance is doing still with NetSuite, and we're kind of finalizing that calendar and schedule.
Is there any chance that we could see what Vermont's system looks like?
We want to be able to give you a meaningful glimpse at it, rather than just kind of their demo site that you can log on and see. That's why we delayed that a bit, because it needs to be, back end needs to be built a little bit more so we can actually give you a meaningful glimpse at what it'll mean and do and so forth. So
Obviously,
we can probably be still a little bit down the road.
obviously what's of great interest is the user interface. What are
Absolutely,
residents gonna see and be able to do or not do? So, okay. All right, any questions on those items? Okay. So new business. And we're gonna consider an agreement with ELS, Jeff.
So this is a kickoff to a very significant project here for Rossmore Walnut Creek. Just to back up a little bit, give some background. Back in 2022, the board adopted our first facilities master plan. And that was a very lengthy process. We went through a couple of years with ELS and reviewing existing facilities, looking at what facilities need to be modernized, what new facilities we need to plan for over a 10-year period. We then really looked at funding models and what we need to do in order to accomplish those. Many of the projects were put into a wish list or beyond 10-year category just because of funding. But one of the main projects over that 10-year period, and these are real significant type projects, was the need to replace the office complex up at 800 Rockview. So at the time, MOD, now RPM/RWC offices up at Rockview. Other projects within that was the renovation of the Dollar House, expansion of meeting rooms at Gateway, the NPR rooms, and then food and beverage opportunities. And we've kind of studied the food and beverage with our partner, our consultant, Synergy Food Group, and looking at what opportunities there are for that. So what is before you today is really an opportunity to launch into many of those areas. In looking at the number one priority, the replacing the RPM offices at 800 Rockview, we've come to you over the last several years looking at many opportunities analysis. We looked at replacing the building in place just at Rockview. We've looked at using the medical center at 1220 instead of selling it, utilizing that as kind of a central hub for all admin services. We've looked at new property acquiring to do that outside the gate. And finally, we've kind of settled on Gateway here as a potential central hub for all admin services. There is many benefits to creating one central hub for our administration. Creating a central service desk so people aren't going to all of our different locations. Right now we have departments where half the department is up the hill, half is down here. So it creates ability to supervise. And there's just a number of things in having it here at a central location has just many benefits of being convenient for residents. In looking at the Dollar House, that is something that has been discussed. We have looked at it from many perspectives of, do we do a full remodel? Do we do just rehab projects over the years? And unfortunately, what has happened is it's just been deferred, and the need for renovation has just increased over time. And then in the master plan, the NPR rooms, the plan looks at, do we go create a 2-story? Do we expand? Do we do different things here at Gateway? But we're gonna look at a potentially a different solution. So what we're proposing today is to bring ELS on, and they have been working with us doing a lot of these analysis, to work with us on developing a final schematic design that we could then take and begin the construction drawing phase after that. The schematic design would be looking at basically 3 key elements. Number 1, at the Dollar House, and doing kind of a master plan for Dollar that would look at significant renovations, including access to the 2nd floor via an elevator, looking at creating more meeting room spaces over there, looking at food and beverage opportunities that could feed the meeting rooms as well as social space over there. So kind of hitting on all of the key elements identified in the master plan, in the facilities master plan. The second part would be looking at the existing NPR rooms here at Gateway and how those could be repurposed into other amenities that may be impacted once we start looking at renovating the main space into a central administration offices, but also looking at it as an opportunity to add a board room or something similar to a city council chambers type room where all of our meetings can take place. Looking at adding food and beverage opportunities here at Gateway. A lot of the elements that are part of our original facilities master plan to take place here. This project will involve some public workshops. We have a rollout on March 6th where we're going to do a town hall, and then we'll be meeting and doing individual work with our consultant if they're brought on board, and different clubs like the library club, the computer club, folks interested in what's use takes place at Dollar and so forth. So what we're presenting is a proposal from ELS to complete this first phase of design for up to $157,000 that would be focused on those areas. If you look at the proposal, it's not too heavy on the admin design, but that is because we have resources that we've been utilizing to do that already as part of their study on the relocation of that building. We still have some resources authorized in that category, so that'll be part of the overall study as well. Questions?
I know it's not the finance committee, but how are you going to pay for the study?
So these are 2 items that are in the capital project list. There's an item in there for Dollar and one for Gateway, each at, I believe, about $150,000. The admin portion here at Gateway comes out of the reserve that has been set aside from the escrow that was failed escrow from the last sale of 1220.
The forfeited purchase.
Forfeited purchase.
Okay.
So it is included in the capital budget already. That will be finalized second reading.
But it's not even using MTF to fund it.
That's correct. At this point in time, that's correct.
So how do you envision paying for 2 huge projects like this?
Good question. So the reason why this is opportunistic at this point is the property outside the gate at 1220 is currently in escrow. It is for sale. The purchase price is 17.2 million. There are some existing loans against that, but all of these projects would be funded through proceeds from the sale, plus once you pay off all of the funding or the existing loans, we would be able to secure additional loan amounts that would actually put us in a better overall position within the capital projects budget than we are today.
So these projects would not displace normal capital spending?
That's correct.
That is good news. Other questions?
Comment, one of the things that the concept includes is you mentioned a boardroom or a council meeting room. I think it's important to realize that that would be well available for all the mutuals. And so rather than meeting hither and yon in the various different meeting rooms, they would actually have a home in the admin building. So that's kind of a real step up, actually.
There are, in addition to administrative spaces, there are many benefits to mutuals, to resident amenities and so forth. So it kind of hits a lot of different categories. But right now, as you mentioned, meetings take place all over the campus for mutuals. Technology is not set up per se for those types of meetings. So this would be a very purpose-built space for all of the mutual meetings, RWC meetings and so forth.
Jeff, have you reached out to any sister communities to see if they have anything like what you're envisioning?
So Laguna Woods has a very similar type of central reception desk where you can go in, and if you're there, you check in. If you're there to buy a concert ticket, it's one window. If you're there to buy or secure your RFID tag, or if you're there to get a alterations permit and so forth. So all available in one central location. So this kind of envisioned to be something along those lines.
One-stop shop
One-stop
for
shop.
residents. Nice. Yeah. Ted and then Susan has a question.
So I saw that this is gonna take about, they're looking at about 18 weeks or 4.5, 5 months. And that puts us about the end of August or into September. Are we going to see something, where they keep coming back to us and showing us what when they get moved, I'm not looking for, we're gonna start today, but I mean, down the line, are they gonna say, here's where we're at now and here's what it's looking like in case there is something that needs to be focused on a different direction on something, or?
So we will continue to provide updates as we're going through this and the design evolves and so forth, and the timeline and the various elements, how they're sequenced. There's a lot of moving parts within this project because one impacts the other. So likely we would begin with dollar, and then we would move to the NPRs, and we would work on gateway here. But all of that's still to be determined. So we will keep you updated. And then the next phase would be once we've checked in with the city, once we've worked with all the groups, we've done the presentations, we've boiled it down to a design that the board accepts. Then we would get a proposal to move to the next phase of developing the construction drawings. And in that phase, still there's tinkering that happens. There's all the permitting and work with the city that takes place during that phase as well.
I think Susan had a clarification question.
My question is, have we thought about the impact that this would have on parking for this facility?
Yes. Parking at both this facility and over at Dollar needs to be included as part of this analysis. We are definitely locked in, but there are a few opportunities we can look at in order to expand some parking spaces. But traffic and parking study will be part of it.
Janet?
So is ELS looking, I don't know if you haven't picked what we're gonna do about this, the old pickleball court study, what we could do with that space. Is that gonna be ELS too?
No.
Or no? Okay.
It may be, but that's not
We're
part
not
of
there
the
yet.
scope.
Because one of the suggestions that I've heard, that there's a lot of space past the pickleball too, that should be at least considered studied for parking. And that's just another place to look for parking. And then I thought we were looking at, instead of the parking spaces being diagonal, being straight, you can add a lot more.
Correct.
And is that,
I wouldn't term it a lot more. You can
how many more? I don't know how many more.
Maybe a lot more big offenders.
But that happens anyway. Those are all the things that we have to kind of study. The Creekside courts and part of Creekside complex there wouldn't be included in that. It would be more focused on
Yeah.
right around.
And food service is being considered at both locations as part of this Gateway Dollar thing.
Yes.
Agree. So actually proceeding with this is contingent on the completion of the sale. Is that not correct? Or
Somewhat, timing wise, there's some options in terms of funding that we'll talk about, but overall, the completion of the entire project, yes, would be contingent on the sale of 1220.
we couldn't finance it if that sale falls through.
Somewhat,
Or-
yeah, I mean, that's still, how that would work is still kind of being analyzed.
But this study is not contingent upon that.
No, but I just want to make it clear that it won't get going. We'll end up with set plans at the end of this year essentially, if this all proceeds, but we won't be able to pull the trigger on understand whether or not.
Yeah, you may be able to proceed on a portion of them or the first phase of them, but we'll start to talk through all of those elements as well, timing. But yeah, this is not a quick project by any means.
Jeff, will ELS be sensitive to the historical nature of the Dollar House?
Yes, yep. So the Dollar House is on the National Registry of Historic Places. That puts it into a little bit different category in terms of building permits and so forth. So we'll definitely be sensitive to that, especially when you're looking at kind of the outside envelope and look of the facility.
Ted, you had a question?
This is gonna probably be real early for this kind of a question, but last time when we did the facility master plan, I think that the Dollar House came in around $4 million or something for all of the projects for that. And then we're gonna do this here. Seems like a huge number to put for, I have no idea for the remodeling for here, so maybe it's the same. You know, that's a lot of money going on. Is part of this plan maybe have to be done piecemeal? We'll have to look at the important, you know, how the rollout will come. Like, let's say we, you know, the focus is let's move the offices first, get that all squared away, and then, but we can do some things over here, but we might not be able to do the full project over here if there's a section of example, let's say we were going to designate an area dollar for something that had to be moved in, or like the MP rooms. We're thinking about moving areas into there. That might be something we have to work on first before we can even do this, right? So I mean, is it gonna be kind of piecemealed over a couple?
Ted, why don't you let him answer?
I wanted to make sure I got my point across.
I think you did, Jeff.
The overall scheme, I don't want to get too far ahead until, you know, ELS really is able to get into things and figure out the best sequencing, but there is a significant amount of sequencing that has to happen. For example, we would want to probably do dollar first, so then we can move NPR functions over to there. And if you're making that kind of a central hub of meeting room spaces, smaller meeting room spaces, then you would utilize the NPR spaces for replacing things like the library, computer club, our computer room and so forth. Then you would have this space freed up to be able to do that. You would need to relocate existing admin here while you're doing renovation. So there's just many, many steps that need to be planned out in the whole process.
2030.
Yeah, it's gonna, it will be a lengthy
Yes.
process.
Yeah.
It'll be under your 6-year time.
Any other questions? Jan?
Well, you know what, this is probably a no, but will someone help you figure out what to do with staff? Once things start moving, where will the staff go?
It will
Who will
be,
help you figure that?
it will be part of the analysis on what are the opportunities to relocate existing admin. Yep, because that's a key part of it, because we will have to relocate, a number of functions for a period of time.
Any other questions? Ted, you want to make a
To
motion?
make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to recommendation to the RWC board to authorize the general manager to execute a professional service agreement with ELS Architectural and Urban Design for the completion of the design development phase of Dollar House and Gateway renovations. Do I have to mention the other pieces like MP, the multipurpose, okay?
No, but I think to
From
be,
Gateway.
For a total of $150,000. $157,000.
to be paid from the forfeited purchase deposit.
Yes, I'll go with that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Janet has seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, China?
Okay. Walker,
Yes.
Selden,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Byram,
Yes.
unanimous consent.
Okay, thank you.
Woo-hoo.
That's a big undertaking.
Big undertaking.
Yeah.
So next up is we will talk about staff to issue an RFP for a short-range transit plan. And Jeff, back to you. Yeah.
So when we presented, Kelsey presented to you last month an overview of the transit service and some possible directions moving to smaller vehicles. We know we need to include a dispatch system. We talked pretty extensively about the different types of users, as those being transit dependent and others that have other interests in using transit, but would utilize that out of convenience and what you need to do to attract a non-transit dependent rider to the program. We included at that point $200,000 for the purchase of 2 vans and software systems. Later, as some feedback came in, we looked at starting the process with a more comprehensive transit study with a consultant. This is an effort that we put forth a couple of years ago, but were not successful in getting proposals for a consultant. We think we've made a few tweaks here and we can make it a little bit more attractive. Transit consultants are somewhat challenging to get because every public agency is required to do a short-range transit plan on an annual basis or every other year, depending on their federal funding sources. So they are busy folks, and so to get their attention can be challenging. But we will look for a few other resources and opportunities to complete a study. This way, we would be able to get input from existing riders, from the community, looking at other service opportunities, and really a much more comprehensive evaluation of the system before we start implementing changes. We are proposing a budget of $80,000. We will see what proposals come back. This does include significant public outreach and surveying. So we'll see what those fees actually end up being, but right now we're proposing 80,000 as the budget. Happy to answer any specifics about the proposed RFP or process.
So Jeff, the last time that this was before us, I think we approved 25 grand and an RFP went out. My memory serves me well.
I think it was 40 up to this 40.
My memory did not serve me well. So is that why we did not get responses, do you believe?
I think, and we included in the RFP the budgeted amount. So I think it was somewhat of a deterrent too. So this time we'll take the budgeted amount out, but rather provide the description of the scope of work.
Adrian?
So I looked at the proposed RFP, and I'm a little, I don't feel the scope of work is sufficient, okay? I feel like what we really need to do at this point is step back from what we got and look at it afresh. You know, clean sheet, clean field. Where you look at why we're doing this, why do we provide the service? Who should it be targeted to, or who might use it? Then what options are there available today? Okay. Today, there's different kinds of vehicles in the option we have. We know autonomous vehicles are coming very close to being here. Whatever we end up choosing to do, we're going to do for at least 5 years. And at the end of that 5-year period, I'm sure that AVs will be a significant component. So the study should be sitting back and looking at it completely from all angles like that. It shouldn't just be sort of how do we fix what we've got. And so I'd like the RFP that would reflect that sort of work. I did ask my buddy, who helped me out with a lot of stuff, to actually generate, well, it suggested generating the scope of work. I'll pass this out. It took 5 seconds. No. So I'm not suggesting that it has to be this, but I'm just saying, this is the kind of thing that I would want the RFP to hope to be appropriate or to come.
So Adrian, when I read the study goals and scope, it seems pretty general.
Yeah.
Obviously it gets guided along the way, but
But I think making it clear that we should be considering all possibilities is very important, including the possibility that we bring in an outside management operator to run it, just like we brought in Securitas. We used to run security internally. It was better to have somebody who knows, who does that.
And the driverless thing is already happening. It's not like it's gonna happen in 5 years. I mean, if you go to San Francisco, you know, I mean, every block, you see them.
Yeah.
They're there. It's not like you have to wait for them to appear. They're already here. And I don't, but yeah, like a company that,
So
yeah.
we just need to be open to a wide range of opportunities.
Right.
Have those presented to us as a result of the study, and then we can make a rational decision.
Yeah.
so are you suggesting to rewrite the RFP?
Perhaps, yes.
Let's take a straw vote. How does everybody feel about that?
Well, I think they.
Is that a yes to rewrite or no to rewrite?
Yes to rewrite.
I don't know.
So just to, I think if you read the scope under number 2, it is fairly generic to the fact that a number of items that are identified in the kind of early phases of what Adrian just passed out would be included in looking at different alternatives and options. And it could certainly be more directed once we get somebody on board, getting their background, the information gathered and so forth. Once you start to get into more specifics, then we would be able to probably target some of the more in-depth analysis of, financial opportunities, the KPIs and those types of things that I don't know that somebody would be able to provide a good proposal diving into those categories, almost a phase 2 approach, it feels like. Where the phase 1, which is what this would somewhat capture, is building the background, doing the research, getting feedback from the community, developing the alternatives, which would include all the different modes, operators, and so forth.
So you think most of what Adrian passed out would be covered?
Because once you
Not about
have,
number 4, but I mean the first 3.
once you have the consultant on board, you're able to kind of guide them into a lot of the study depth that in areas that is identified here. But we could make some modifications to this. I just on the fly, I don't know what that would be. We'd have to probably bring it back to you.
There's a couple of things, I mean, just by basically saying this should be a clean sheet or a greenfield analysis, just use those words, that automatically someone applies this kind of approach. And part of my rationale for this is because if you go to the consultants and they see, oh, kind of boring, this RFP, we're not gonna do it. Whereas if it's challenging and they see an opportunity because it would be not just doing this work, but if we end up making a substantial change, then we're gonna need help implementing it. And so for a consultant, it looks like, oh, this is actually a fairly decent piece of work. It's worth my time. And therefore we will get more results. We'll get more people delivering on the RFP.
So if you want a straw vote, I think letting, Jeff and Kelsey look at his comments and try to integrate some more. I would be voting for that.
As we have sent these out in the past, whatever we have said in these, if you just want to look at the food and beverage one, whatever we started out in the beginning with, it changed all along the way. And as the feedback came back to us and we gave more feedback to them, the scope of the whole thing, because they would trigger ideas and stuff, the scope of the thing, it grew and it gets bigger. And I've seen that in all of the RFPs that we've sent through here. So really what we want to do, I think, is to find the person that can do this. And that's your job, to interview them and figure out the one that's going to do it. And then we decide, okay, here's the money amount that he's going to charge for this. And then we maybe have to look at this again. But it's a partnership and it evolves. From there, it builds and grows.
Yeah.
So I don't know that, I'm hesitant in getting into, I like generalization kind of things. This is what we would kind of like you to look at and see what's going on. And then they'll come back with the stuff and then we can fine tune it then. I would hate to lock them into a certain thing. And everyone I've been involved with is.
I agree with you. And I'm wondering if Adrian would be satisfied, if Jeff, if you think this would be appropriate, but the bullet points under challenges, to say it's 2026 and we need to step back and think about our transportation system and evolving it into the future. Keeping it very broad.
We're open to any ideas.
Right.
Yes.
That's right, I want to see
Yeah.
in there so that
But that's a sentence in there, isn't it?
consultants understand
Yeah,
that they're not just doing this tiny. little
Right.
thing.
I agree with that, because I looked at the bigger thing.
Jeff, what do you think of that approach?
So adding some bullets under challenges have included the following. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Or even a new paragraph that just says, we want to prepare for the future, we need to step back and take a look at where we are and where we need to go.
Yeah, we can add a few additional bullets under there. We'll kind of take a look at, see where it would look most appropriate to add that.
But I hold you back.
I think that would echo what Ted just mentioned. Right now, we're fishing. We're looking for what the consultants are. We're not locked into a specific contract yet. We would be able to modify, discuss scope, depth, additional things we would want them to look at once we find folks that would be interested, capable, qualified to do this study.
A couple of other minor changes in the wording here. There's a lot of words about post-pandemic. I think we should just replace those with current. This was sent out, this RFP was sent out in 2020. And post-pandemic means we're now.
Yeah, referencing the pandemic.
Yeah.
So just drop references to pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And rather than, I would have used the words, rather than suggest service enhancements, I would use the word alternative. We're not looking to really just enhance what we've got, just looking for structure.
Enhanced service. Okay, so Jeff, I'll look for your guidance here, but this need to come back again next month? What's this behind?
It really depends on your comfort level. We can make changes to a few of the bullets based on some of the references here. Drop the term pandemic, change the terminology for enhanced service, and proceed to the board. And then once we come back, we'll be bringing back, here's our recommendation on who to hire based on this. And then you would have another opportunity to take a look at it.
Yeah, I think move forward with it, because I don't want to wait another month on it.
Okay, so we have a motion.
You got it, you can do this.
Okay,
I move that the planning committee recommend to the RWC board that we approve the general manager to make it up to authorize staff to issue a request for proposal based on the amended draft of the completion of a short range transit.
Do we need a dollar amount?
In the
$80,000.
I don't think we need that, do we?
Yeah, we actually might not want to include that because we'll see where it comes back. That's our budgeted amount,
Yeah,
but
okay, so
we don't know the amount yet.
Is there a second? Ted and.
Ted, second.
Got two people seconding. Okay, any further discussion? Just a minor point, I think we still need to approve the $80,000 capital project and recommend that to the board. But with that, roll call, China.
Roll call. Do I have Walker,
Yes.
Selden,
Yeah.
Bentley,
Yes.
Byram?
yes.
I have a unanimous consent.
All right, thank you. And so with that, I think we need a motion, if I'm not mistaken, to recommend to the board the addition of the $80,000 transit plan.
So the board already included that in their first reading, so it is in there already, prepared for second reading. So I don't think you need any additional action from the committee unless you wanted to do something different than what the board did in their first reading.
We maybe should wait till it comes back and find out what their number is and say, because since the 80's already in there.
Yeah, but the board did not approve that 80. And neither did the planning committee, neither did the finance committee. So to me, it needs to go through the cycle again. I mean, it's kind of paperwork.
You can confirm or you can recommend that the 80,000 be included as was approved by the board in the first reading.
The board did not approve anything at the first meeting.
It's whatever's in the packet. They approved it.
No.
They
there
didn't
was no-
approve it. It's a second reading. So it's
The
before the
approval comes
board,
in
but
this
I don't
next
know
board
what's in
meeting.
the packet.
Yeah. To be safe, we could say planning committee recommends inclusion of 80,000 in the capital budget.
Project list for 2026, and I so move. Is there a second? Ted,
Ted is okay.
do we have that, China?
Yes.
Because that went fast.
Can you give me the language one more time?
There was a motion
Yes.
made and seconded to make a
Okay.
recommendation to the board to approve $80,000
Uh-huh.
to the capital project list for 2026,
Got it.
For the transit plan.
For the transit plan.
the transit plan.
All right, any further discussion?
Thank you.
So as soon as you're ready, roll call.
Roll calls ready. Walker,
Yes?
Selden,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Byron.
Yes.
We have unanimous consent. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the good of the community? If not, we are adjourned.